My daddy was a vocational agriculture teacher in Brantley County. He used to say in his later years, the worst thing killing his program was white tennis shoes. We experienced the armadillo situation firsthand. They were pesky little jokers. He came up with the idea of catching the armadillos to get them away from the farms for the farmers. So he said, let's have an armadillo Olympics. And we all said, well, okay, what's that? Brantley County has always been a bedroom community. Agriculture was really important. If you didn't work for the school or for the REA or for one of the timber companies, you pretty much went outside of town to work, or you farmed. It was a way for a guy to take 5 or 10 or 15 acres and make enough money to really sustain a family.
We were a tight group being a part of the FFA. That's where Mr. Huey Ham, he taught us all about the farming aspect. He taught us about all of the livestock stuff. We even did small engine repair. He kept us involved in every bit of it.
It didn't take a lot to keep us happy. We did what we needed to. And I look back on the days in the tobacco fields, and that helped make us who we were. Brantley County, we didn't know there was a whole lot of other out there.
It's kind of where the armadillos came in.
The armadillos, now that was a problem. And the way they bred, I don't know how you could get so many, but we're very populous in Brantley County.
They came into this part of Georgia, or at least recorded in the 1970s. And then that population started spreading, but they've naturally been moving into this area.
One of the unique features of this particular species that we have in the United States, Dasypus novum sanctus, is that females give birth to litters of genetically identical quadruplets. And so they spread throughout the state pretty rapidly.
Yeah, I mean, nobody liked armadillos. What is the purpose? You run them over with your car or your truck, and they would jump into the bottom of the car, make a mess.
They'll dig under buildings and can kind of undermine foundations if it's not real strong.
And it was a problem with some of the crops.
The armadillos caused a lot of problems in agriculture, especially with anything you plant. You've got soft dirt, you put something there, it's naturally going to attract bugs. Armadillos, they're built for burrowing under the ground, so when they push that plant out of the way or take too much dirt off the roots, you wind up killing it.
In one night's time, they could get in a huge tobacco bed and they could wipe it out. So the farmers are like, where did they come from? What are we going to do with them and whatnot?
I don't think it was so much pitchforks and torches out, let's get these armadillos. There was no Frankenstein moment or anything.
Back then it was a little different than it is now. We're sitting in class, and Mr. Huey, he always had his feet up on the desk.
So he's like, let's go to help these farmers out. Let's catch some of these armadillos and let's have a little fun with it.
We didn't know what the man was talking about to begin with. But then we figured out, hey, he's got an idea here.
So what do you do? How do you have an armadillo Olympics?
The guys and gals could go out and could catch armadillos and bring them to the Olympics. They had the hurdles and they had a swimming contest. They would race them and see who was the fastest. You couldn't touch them, but it was allowed. I think it was turkey feathers. You could tickle him on his tail and make him run. We had the broad jump. We had a beauty contest. And in the race for the queen, we turned the armadillos loose in the middle of the football field, and one of the girls had to run and grab one and take it to the goal line, and then she was crowned the queen. Well, we did catch a many that we would butcher and eat. None of the participants were ever eaten. They were always released back in the wild.
They're very placid for the most part. I mean, most people have never seen a live armadillo. 99 times out of 100, it's going to have its head down looking for something to eat. And they're kind of oblivious to anything else that's going on.
Best way to catch one is to get behind him where he can't see you because they don't hear really well and they don't see really well.
We would chase them. I mean, if you didn't get him right off the ground right quick, boy, howdy, you was in trouble. These little boogers are pretty quick. You startle one and he can jump a good couple feet off the ground.
We did have opportunity one night when we had caught two. In about 30 seconds, the two armadillos are out of the cage and they're running around the back of the truck. Well, one gets over the side of the truck and gets away. We managed to catch the other one, but now we got nowhere to put him. I think it was Terry Highsmith. He's holding the armadillo with, certain body parts pointing away from him, but he's sitting across from people, so this thing turns into a machine gun. There was 2 or 3 that got washed off that night and had to ride home in the back of the truck. they did get their vengeance. It's not like they were totally unprepared for this situation.
The process of training an armadillo is a joke. I mean, really, it was one of those things that there's no training an armadillo.
But you can try. You know, you can do it enough that you think you got him doing what you want him to do, and then boom, it's just like opposite. He's going to do the opposite.
There's Terry Highsmith right there trying to talk to his armadillo and make him go the other way.
Did it work?
Yeah.
Boys just took it and ran with it. Everybody got involved, everybody got excited, especially when they found out that National Geographic was coming, New York Times came, the newspapers got involved, and it gave our town a little bit of publicity.
It got a lot of attention. It was something that was different, it was unique.
So people learned where Brantley was on the map, especially the second, third year when the wire services started picking it up. Dad had interviews from England and Ireland. Mom would call Daddy out, he'd be out at the barn. Hey, you got a phone call from Australia, you know. What?
Some folks didn't think too highly of the idea. But there was never once did we do anything to intentionally harm one of them. They were being taken care of. They probably got some of the best meals they ever had while we had them.
I don't remember the first time I met Huey. He became kind of like a second father to me. He was a dear friend. Huey called up one day and he said, I want you to pass a bill designating the second Saturday in May as Armadillo Day in Georgia.
We went and had our FFA jackets on. So we're all sitting there like quail, you know, not moving in the balcony. They go to vote to make State Armadillo Day. And they told us to watch this board. Said if they vote yes, the light turns green. If they vote no, the light turns red. And they all flip their button to red. And we're all looking up there and we're like, they're voting against it. And why are they voting against it? Of course, Daddy set all that up and they were having a big time with us. They all switched their votes back to green and we're like, whew.
I guess the novelty of it attracted a lot of attention and got a lot of support. Best I recall, we passed it and the governor gladly signed it.
Life doesn't always work like we think it should, and there are going to be disappointments. And when the Armadillo Olympics had to close, you know, we had to stop it. That part was disappointing.
I mean, when I was growing up, they were just plentiful everywhere. It was just like I don't know, they kind of diminished.
I don't think there was any one thing you could put your finger on it, but you just don't see that many of them anymore. And I think it's really a combination thing. We're not as much agriculture, I think, as we used to be. Folks talk about, I want my kids to have it better than I had it. Well, that's got pluses and that's got minuses. You know, my kids have things better than I did, for sure. But they lose some of the opportunities that I had too. It's just a natural transition. But I think that probably played more of a role in it than anything.
I know Mr. Huey didn't want it to go. This is our FFA jacket, and believe it or not, I can't zip it up, but I can put it on. I remember several years ago when Mr. Huey passed away, that was the first thing Miss Kathy, his daughter, called and asked if I would be a pallbearer and if I could still wear my jacket. And that was an honor. Anything else could have went wrong or had not happened, but that Armadillo Olympics, that FFA chapter, that was his heart and soul, and he did it very well.
We're all going to leave a legacy behind. What's it going to be? It's up to us. The decisions that we make, good and bad, all make us who we are.
I think the story is not so much the armadillo. The story is seeing a need, seeing a way to bring people together, seeing a way to make memories. That's the story, is creating the event. That's the conversation we need to be having now. What is our Armadillo Olympics? What is it that we can do now? Pickleball, I guess, is the new big craze of. The main thing I think that Daddy was trying to do was to find something for those kids to do to keep them making good decisions. And I think that's critical. It don't have to be chasing armadillos. But find whatever excites those children and keep them plugged in. Because if we don't, they're going to make bad decisions.